Hey explorers, and welcome back to Piv Explores. This week we're talking about eating on trail. So everybody kind of has their own way of doing this, and you can really do whatever you want. In the book The Unlikely Thru Hiker, Derek, aka Mr. Fabulous, talks about meeting a couple that are hiking together, and they have like pots and pans and fresh fruit and like all of this like non-backpacking food because that's what they wanted to do on their hike. So really, do what you want. These are just the top 3 ways that people feed themselves on trail. So let's get into it. So the first way that might come to your head, and kind of the easiest way, is to do whatever grab and go food you can find. Think tortillas, peanut butter, Cliff bars, stuff like that. If you're just going backpacking for a couple of days, might as well just do that. This kind of stuff is also great for snacks on trail because you don't have to cook it. It's pre-made, it's already there. All you gotta do is take it out and put it in your mouth. That can get a little heavy and a little redundant depending on how long you're hiking, but it is an easy way to feed yourself. So the second way that I'm gonna talk about is cold soaking. Now this works best with stuff that pretty easily rehydrates. And basically all that it is you take your food, you put it in, a lot of people use those Talenti gelato containers, but some sort of container, preferably with like a screw top lid. You put your food in there, you put regular room temperature, outside temperature water in there, and you let it sit. Now you do have to let it sit for an undetermined amount of time. It depends on what you're cooking for how long that it has to rehydrate, but it's pretty easy. The only downside is all your food is the same temperature. You can't have hot food, you can't have really cold food, you just have outside temperature food. And there is the weight factor, so some things take about a half an hour to rehydrate, some things are instant, some things take hours. And you can't use those like fancy pre-made backpacking meals. Not that those are super popular with people who do a lot of backpacking anyway, but just something to be aware of. Honestly, I feel like this is best if it's hot outside and you don't want anything hot going in your belly. So, opinion, I've never done cold soak, but there's a ton of information about it on the internet, and a lot of backpackers, you don't have to carry a stove. It's less weight, so it's an option. And the third most popular option is to do some of one, so you have some stuff you can just shove in your mouth, and to cook on trail. Now, there's one basic way to cook on trail with 2 kind of tangents. So step 1, you boil some water. Step 2, you put your food and the boiling water together, which rehydrates and cooks your food, and then you eat it. Now, the part where this can kind of diverge is the following. So this is my cook pot. When you boil your water, you have an option. You can either put your food in your cook pot, or you can put your water in with your food. Either way, what you need to do then is you need to have something to put this in to keep it hot. So the way that this kind of works, unless you want to use a bunch of fuel, is that you want to retain all of that heat in there, so the water keeps at a boiling level, so it will cook your food without having to have your stove on the whole time. Having your stove on the whole time is a great way to waste a bunch of fuel that you don't need to. So some people will use Reflectix and duct tape and make a little koozie thing. I've seen people literally cut out foam and put their cook pot in that to make a koozie, because you gotta keep it hot, otherwise it's not gonna cook. If you just were to add your food to this and sit it outside, it'll be fine for a little while, and then it won't, and your food's going to be a very uncomfortable crunch. So some people will add their food, like your ramen noodles, add that to your cook pot, put in your Reflectix foam, whatever, keep your heat inside of here, let it cook, and then eat outside of this. Now, downside to that is you also have to clean this pot. The other thing that you can do is you can add your water to your food. Now this is how most traditional go to the store and buy a backpacking meal. You add your water to that package. But what if you're making backpacking meals on your own? What if you're doing ramen or something like that? So I like to make my own backpacking meals. I use this cookbook. to get some great ideas for backpacking meals, and I'll make all of those in individual freezer baggies. Now that kind of baggie is important because it can handle the boiling water. So I will put my meal in this little koozie that was made for me by a friend, and I also bought a koozie similar to this. Check out this video on about that on Etsy. So you can buy one of these if you don't have a friend to make you one. And I'll put my freezer baggie in here. I'll add my hot water to my meal. And then this little guy acts like the same thing that the Reflectix and duct tape does for my pot, but it is adding to my meal. Now you could say that this way is a little less environmentally friendly because you are having all of those baggies that you are then possibly going to throw away, but you can always bring those home, wash them out, reuse them. The important thing is that no matter which way you cook it, you have something to keep your water and food hot and insulated while it cooks your food, because otherwise, again, you're going to have that uncomfortable crunch. Keep in mind that if you are putting your food in your cook pot, you need to have a little scraper guy to get all that food out of there. Maybe you got a silicone coated spoon that does the trick, but you need to make sure you get your food out of your pot, because otherwise you're going to make coffee the next morning and it's going to taste like Tex-Mex. So just keep that in mind. Also, the size of your cook pot might influence which one of these methods you use. You guys saw mine. It's pretty tiny, so it doesn't really hold that much food, and I like to eat a lot of food. So these are just some things to consider. Those are some different ways that you can cook and eat on trail. How do you guys eat on trail? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Piv Explores. Don't forget to ask me any questions that you might have about backpacking, caving, or camping in the comments, or on Instagram, or wherever you might want to contact me. You can also check out the website, pivexplores.com, or email me at pivexplores@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.